So today we're doing a hard gel infill where I'm changing from this gorgeous kind of summery yellow to a beautiful cherry purpley red colour and a nice nude on the ring finger. So, my throat's a little bit sore today, so I won't be talking a great deal, which you may or may not be thrilled to hear. But I will talk you through the major stages and let you know what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So obviously, first off, we're debulking. This client has recently moved over to hard gel and it's been fantastic for her. Honestly, it's amazing. So basically what we're doing is we are removing that colour, and Gelifiques say to remove around 80% of the product, so I do take it right the way down. The product is very reasonable. It's not like it costs a huge amount to replace or anything like that. I've got a huge pot of it, which I think is about 50 grams, which will probably last me forever. And like I say, it's not wildly expensive, so I'm quite happy to do that. And also it means I can kind of restructure, because I find that especially when they've grown out and that kind of thing, you know what I mean, you often need to redo the structure again. So as I say, I'm taking down that 90%, probably 80% rather, to leave about 20% on the nail. Also, it means this way I can see through the product normally, because it's not terribly, it's pretty opaque, but it's not so opaque that you can't see. So I can get an idea of the nail health, make sure everything's all okay under that. You know, for somebody who wasn't going to talk a lot, I seem to be managing to talk quite a bit. So I'm going to let you watch this bit and then I'll be back for the next section. Also, if you do enjoy my content, please do make sure you like and follow and subscribe so you don't miss out, because I am trying to post these longer videos weekly now. I also do regular shorts and that kind of thing. So please like, follow and share this to anybody that you know you think it would benefit. So now we've done all of our removal and I've done a good cleanse. Then I go in with my baby powder. Now this is a talc-free talc. If you are not in the UK and the EU, talc isn't legal here, if that makes sense, like as in talc that used to be. So if you are in the US, try and look for a talc-free talc. I use like a soft and gentle one from Amazon. My Amazon storefront, I think, is in the link in the bio, so by all means go and have a check there. But it's just soft and gentle talc-free talc, and it's really, really good. And it's got quite a nice scent, but not an overwhelming one. So yeah, highly recommend that. Then we're just using our cuticle tool to lift up those cuticles. We're not pushing them back, we're lifting them up. So you'll see that I'm kind of scooping underneath and I'm lifting the cuticle because I want a little pocket that my e-file bit will flow into in a little bit. Next we get our flame bit and we go and forward down the left hand side of the nail and then reverse down the right hand side of the nail. Then I move on to the cuticle nippers. This client doesn't get a lot of cuticle build up. I think because she has regular manicures, etc. But yeah, so they're really satisfying to nip but then it's always just a really, really tiny little bit. So remember, first off we're trimming non-living tissue, so it's all of the white stuff there. That is not living tissue. And we are just literally removing that. These scissors are from Katie Barnes. They are fantastic. If you're scared of nipping, which I think a lot of people are, and I get it because I hated nipping people's cuticles. This is it's absolutely changed the game for me, so highly recommend getting a pair of these. They are not cheap, however, they will last. I have a few pairs, so I've got some so I can sanitize, and so far they've lasted me a good couple of years, and they're still going strong. They haven't blunted or dulled or anything, so yeah, I highly recommend them. So the final stage of my prep is just using a kind of a smoothing bit. I don't like to use a ball bit because I think you're more likely to be able to kind of go into the nail plate and create a divot in the nail plate like rings of fire, whereas because of the shape of this one that doesn't really happen. And also I find that it kind of covers a bigger area because this client does have because of the kind of job she does and everything, she has quite a lot of build up, not necessarily build up, but quite a lot of dry skin to exfoliate, and I think and this always gets through it an absolute dream. Also, I prefer to use these over the silicone ones just because this is fully sanitizable. I know people do sanitize silicone bits, and I'm sure it's fine. I just prefer the metal ones. It's really just personal preference. I think this is like a fine grit as well, so it doesn't need to be particularly abrasive. We're just removing all of that dry skin, and then I often go in with this particular client with a nice moisturizer, and kind of I will still use cuticle oil and I'll use Mani Mousse at the end just to make sure that she's really well, really well hydrated at the end of the service. So once I've dehydrated, I go in with my primer. This one is from Jellifique. I do use my Young Nail Protein Bond on my acrylic client because it's fantastic. But yeah, I prefer to use this particular primer, as it were, this particular primer on when I'm using Jellifique for the hard gel because I just find obviously it's a perfect combination. Next, I go in with a scrub layer of the microcrystal base coat from Jellifique. And I do use a little flat brush from CJP just to scrub that in. It's more like a scrub layer that you're doing. It's to kind of really help that adhesion. So next up we have our going in with the hard gel. So I do a very thin layer first off of the hard gel. Now it was super cold, my hard gel today. So it's not kind of flowing as freely, although it was quite nice to work with because it meant that it wasn't just running all over the cuticles or anything, or kind of wasn't fighting against it. Not that it does run against the cuticles. To be fair, it is a really nice self-leveling gel. But it was, yeah, it was kind of more, I suppose, more moldable. It stayed exactly where you put it today. So I literally just put a tiny little bead by the cuticle and then I feather that down. We want really as little product by the cuticle as possible. And I'm just trying to make sure that free edge is really reinforced. And I always refine, so I'm not particularly precious about my application at this point because it's easy to refine as well, this particular gel. I felt like this needed a little bit more product, so I just picked up a tiny bead on my liner brush, and I popped it down the side, and you'll see there it's not moving. It's such a nice gel to work with. And then I just kind of blend that down and just really go with my liner brush just to try and give it, give it a start. Make sure it's not too lumpy and bumpy because it's obviously I don't want too much more filing, but I find that, like I say, it's really soft gel. It's soft hard gel, so it files a dream. Now I do fall off camera a little bit on those last two fingers, but I did keep the thumb in rather, so we can see what we're doing here. For the thumb, just to add a little bit more kind of structure, I did turn it upside down. I don't normally bother, in all honesty, because you don't really need to when I'm doing an infill. But I just, for some reason, at this particular moment, wanted to kind of really help with that structure, so I just flipped the thumb upside down for a little bit. Again, because it's, not too, it doesn't move too quickly. As long as they get it in the light quickly, it won't then kind of go back to the shape that it was before it was upside down, if that makes any sense. So next we're going in with our colour. I will leave you to watch the colour. It's really simple. I just do a relatively thin layer and I use my liner brush. I've got the Sturdy Boy brush from Cassie Payne, which is my go-to liner for all of my art and my painting of gel products, etc. And I'll use that brush just to make sure I can get up as close to the cuticle as possible. So if you have got this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have any questions at all, please pop them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye now.